Today, the Babich Winery and Vineyards are in a rural enclave in suburban Auckland. But 102 years ago, when Croatian gum digger Josip Babich put a deposit down on this land, it all looked very different.
I'm Peter Babich, and I'm the oldest son of Joseph. There's two of us, Joe, my brother, and myself. And Dad arrived here in New Zealand in 1910. He was 14 and a half years of age, never saw his parents again. He joined his brothers on the gum field. When they went gum digging, and they didn't even like it, but it was a start for them. He came from an area in Europe where the main thing they knew was grapevines. So even though he was only 14 years of age, his first grapes would have been planted probably a year or two after arriving here, and some of these plants are still in existence. He made his first commercial wine in 1916. He had a great affinity with grapevines. He knew how to grow grapes, and he had some very strong principles in wine making. He would give more priority to the quality of his wine than the profit on it. And it was something that he drummed into us as well, and that's been a basic principle in our business for the whole of my life. He would be very proud if he was alive today to see where his efforts led to, because when I first came here, we were crushing about 25 tonnes of grapes a year, and now this year we'll go over 4,000.
Today, Babich Wines is still owned and operated by the Babich family. Peter and Joe are chairman and managing director. Their sister Maureen continues to help run the business, and now the third generation, Peter's son David, is general manager. Joseph will always be the patriarch of the family, and the Babich team make a very, very special wine which they call the Patriarch to honour him.
If you looked across the valley with still meadows and the vineyards, orchards, a dairy farm next door, and you couldn't see a house.
When I came home from school, we were still using horses.
Right.
And, you know, went shortly on an old tractor that was like a death trap by today's conditions. But that was the era.
That was an old Fordson from the US, but it was from the flat country in the US. That had no brakes, so they don't need it in Kansas.
It had, the only thing it had on it was a clutch. Nothing else.
So tell me about this wine, Patriarch.
We were producing Irongate at the time from the Gimlet Gravels region, and we just decided to see whether we could raise the bar. As you can see on the label here, it's a blend of Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot and Malbec. Yeah. And that varies from season to season.
Oh, okay.
We don't make this by recipe. We just sit in and we do all the components, and then we blend it to the best result. One year it was Merlot predominant.
Right.
Just a baby.
Oh, it might be a baby, but it's got a smooth bum.
Yes.
Isn't it gorgeous?
Yeah. See, 4
Really
years old,
smooth and
still,
velvety and...
It's got another 6 years in front of it, no trouble.
Why did you decant it?
The decanter has the effect of giving a nice surface area, and it's going to pick up a bit of air. And the wine, as you say, is changing in the glass because as it absorbs some oxygen, it changes and the flavour profile opens up and the palate opens up.
If you were going to liken it to a famous person, what would it be?
Elizabeth Taylor for me.
Why Elizabeth Taylor?
Well, she's such a high-profile person, and her values seem to be very expensive.
She had expensive taste.
Yeah, and I think this wine fits that scenario.
I love it. She went through a few men too, I understand.
Oh, yeah.
She's probably been through a few men too. Good ones.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Joe still oversees the winemaking for Babich, and it's incredible to see how this very building has grown and changed in his lifetime.
Which direction are we going? This way? Okay.
So these tanks here, they're the biggest tanks that we have in this winery.
How many?
They're 50,000 litre tanks.
50,000 litres.
And they're basically here to take the wine that's sent up from Marlborough.
Okay.
And the ones up here, we actually bought that from a winery that went out of business probably about 30 years ago. And they were ex-old beer tanks.
I was going to say, they look like brewery tanks.
Yeah, they are. We modified them. All right, Yvonne, so this area here, this is the reason for bringing you here, was to just show you that this space was my father's original winery. The cellar door, the wine sales, the fermentation, the aging, everything was here. This was all demolished and rebuilt in 2008 from here through to next door.
Whilst the winery has changed, the quality of the wine is still top-notch, and this Irongate Hawke's Bay Chardonnay is one of the superstars.
That is so nice.
You like that?
Yeah. The aroma is like sort of grilled grapefruit and peach, kind of biscuity notes as well.
And the Gimlet Road fruit, you know, has a nice thread of acidity through it, so the wine is very cleansing as well.
Yeah, you've got the grapefruit and kind of mandarin and peach notes, but you're right, there's that mineral
yeah, that nice sort of
character.
You know, crisp mineral sort of edge to it. I always think that the Gimlet Road Chardonnays are slightly on the lean side, which I find an attractive feature about them. They're not blousy. I don't know if you know how this wine came into being, the Irongate.
No, tell me.
In 1985, we bought some Chardonnay off the property next door. I'd been overseas and I quite liked the wines from the Burgundy region in France.
Yep.
And when I came back here and I thought, you know, that fruit from Gimlet Road might well suit a style like that. But I didn't actually like to tell my brother that I was planning to use new oak barrels for it, so I didn't tell anyone.
So you made it on the secret?
Yeah.
On the slide?
I did, yeah. I made 5 puncheons, brand new oak barrels, and I used all the old French techniques, you know, batonnage and fermentation in the barrel, which wasn't really done in New Zealand in those days. And then I used to come down at night and stir the barrels so that no one...
A bit of sneaky stirring.
Yeah, this is true. Then I put it in the wine competition, and it got a gold medal and the Vintners Trophy as the top white of the year.
So mystery wine cleaned up.
And Peter and Mike Cooper, who worked for us at the time, saying, what is this Babich Select Reserve Chardonnay? And we changed the name to Irongate Chardonnay after the name of the vineyard.
Well, here's to your sneaky Chardonnay.
Yeah, cheers.
Cheers. Rather than continue to expand the Auckland winery, Babich have just finished the state-of-the-art winery in Marlborough because they have 230 hectares of vineyard in the region, including the BioGrow certified organic Headwaters vineyard and the gorgeous Wakefield Downs vineyard here in the Awatere Valley.
Right, I'm John. I'm the Marlborough Babich viticulturalist. I've been working for Babich's for 16, 17 years now, based in Marlborough. Today we're standing at the Wakefield Downs vineyard, which is the first site Babich's acquired in 1998. It's also a special vineyard because it was the first vineyard planted in the artery on the southern bank. The site was chosen because of its flatness, proximity to the Awatere River for irrigation. It's also proved to be a very frost-free site, and it also has the soils that produce premium quality Sauvignon Blanc. So this is our Sauvignon Blanc, Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc regional blend. We've got 5 different sites in both valleys.
Really limey and herbaceous and classic Sauvignon Blanc. Yum. Passion fruit, citrus. It's kind of ping-ponging around in my mouth with all sorts of different flavours, different textures. And it's really fresh and kind of, the acidity is quite almost crunchy. That sounds weird, doesn't it? But it's good, it's a good thing.
It is a good thing.
I know you make sensational Sauvignon Blanc. How good are you at cooking mussels?
Because there's no food better than Marlborough mussels with Sauvignon Blanc. John's made a simple garlic butter and Sauvignon steamed mussel pot, whereas I've made a Thai-style spicy salsa.
This is my secret mixture.
Just 2.
That I'm going to spoon into the shells as they open on the barbecue.
Beautiful.
Fantastic. All right.
So the taste off. Well, that's what the spoons are for, Yvonne. You can go to town in there if you like. I'm happy to share the prize.
What's the prize, John?
The glory.
The glory? Cheers.
Cheers, Yvonne.
And some magical mussels. Cheers.
thanks for the muscle off.
Of course, over the years, the Babich family have won numerous medals and trophies and awards for their wines and their winemaking. And the business is in good shape too. Helmed by David, whose passion for wine and eye for detail started very early.
So this is a little bit of history.
This looks fantastic.
Collected as a kid. It was just some of our old labels that were lying around.
Look, that's your writing, Babich.
Yeah, it is, yeah. Imotski is the region that my family come from in Croatia. So this is, would have been sent to us by one of my cousins when I was young. One thing I find interesting is we were calling our wines by French names and German names. So we've got Sauterne here, we've got Burgundy here.
Now you've got a kind of smorgasbord of quite sophisticated, modern French varietals.
Yes.
And Pinot Noir's a huge thing for Babich now, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, Pinot Noir would be our lead red wine,
Yeah.
and it is for New Zealand.
So when did you actually put Pinot in the ground?
Would have been probably in the 70s, certainly.
So pioneering it, really.
Yeah. In 1981, we won the first gold medal for Pinot Noir in New Zealand and at the national show.
Right. Do you really like Pinot? Are you a fan of the style?
Yeah,
'Cause I love
Pinot would be my favourite red wine, yeah. If we're drinking red, we're drinking Pinot Noir.
I mean, what is it about the grape that you really like?
I think I like the subtlety of Pinot Noir. It's not in your face, it's not a big V8 red wine. In order for Pinot Noir to work well, it needs to be very well balanced. And that's what we focus on, is bringing together the fruit characters that we're trying to maximise and that represent the terroir of the vineyard, having those in harmony by the oak, the alcohol, the tannin, you know, the various other components. You've got to have everything in balance in Pinot Noir. If it's not in balance, it really doesn't work, it just doesn't taste right.
This smells amazing. I mean, I like the way Pinot smells anyway, but I can just kind
I
of
love this
smell
wine.
it. You know, when you were pouring it into the glass, I was getting these kind of wafts of, you know, berries and cherry and there's cocoa and toast in there too. It's lovely.
There's quite dark flavours for a Marlborough Pinot,
Yeah.
and that's reflecting that altitude. What we found is the higher altitude moves the wine away from that red cherry spectrum into the darker cherry spectrum, sort of more towards what you'd see in a Central Otago Pinot.
Actually, it's very plush and quite round in the palate. You know, it's sort of quite, yeah, juicy and plump and packed with flavour.
Yeah, it's got a lot
Loads
of
of berries
flavour.
in there.
Yeah.
And spiced, like a mixture of sort of allspice and a little bit of kind of cinnamon and
Yeah,
those
it's-
sorts of things. It's
yeah.
all over the place,
Yeah.
but I love it.
Yeah, there's lots of layers and flavours in this wine. I think the interesting thing is it is packed full of things, this wine, but it's still velvety through the palate.
It is.
So it's sort of that, you know, steel fist in a velvet glove.
You're the general manager of the company. You're Peter's son.
Yes.
How important is the notion of family to this
I
this
think
company?
it's very important. I see myself as a third generation in this business, but I need to leave it in better shape for my kids and my nieces and nephews who would take it over. And so it's a job of stewardship.
Yeah.
And I'll be in there for a period of time, and my focus is to build it stronger and better than it was, so I can hand it on in good shape.
This book belongs to David Babich. I started collecting labels in 1978 and will keep collecting them.
Yeah.
But you haven't, have you? You've kind of stopped.
They just have wine in them now.
Oh, cheers.
Cheers.
Here's to gorgeous Pinot.
Thanks, Yvonne.
And a gorgeous future.
The Petanque Court by the cellar door is a lovely place for the family and the staff to catch up for nibbles and socialise with a favourite drop.
Is this kind of a regular thing? Do you all get together on a weekly basis or a fortnightly, or are there set kind of occasions that it's like, righto, team, we're going to have a do?
Well, we have a vintage party, which is after vintage, and so everybody comes and we have a T-shirt competition, and they have...
Just a T-shirt competition, not a wet T-shirt competition.
No, they have the design.
When it's family, we have a lamb on the spit.
Okay.
We always do that every Christmas Day.
It was part of our parents' culture and the family would be together. And so we are really just continuing that tradition.
If I wanted to say, you know, cheers, thank you, thanks for coming, or, you know, some kind of greeting with a glass of wine in my hand in Croatian, what would I say?
Živjeli. Long life.
I like that. Živjeli, everyone.
Živjeli.
All right.